when you eat this way, we don't need anything else. We're not supposed to have anything else. And I don't want anything else. I just want the few things that taste good, that take care of my body, take care of my hunger, and nourish my body and my heart and my soul.
Bridgette, thank you so much for joining me again.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, really good to see you. So the last time you were on, Bridgette, was just towards the end of the year in December, just before Christmas. What I'd like to do, if possible, is for people who haven't seen your original interview, maybe if we could talk a little bit, give a brief overview of how you found Carnivore, what brought you to it, and then maybe the second thing is what has improved, got better, stayed the same since we spoke in December.
Okay. I'll try to remember.
Cheers.
No, but all right. Well, first I want to say you're just doing a jam up job, and I've been ODing on all your interviews, and it's just been amazing. But let me think. So going back, when I first got introduced, was the thing that really pushed me over the edge was when I watched Kelly Hogan with Ken Berry, when he did the interview where he just kept saying, "You're not going to believe this woman. She's only eaten meat for 15 years, and you're just not going to believe what she looks like." And he just kept on and on and on, and we didn't see her. And then finally, when we saw her, it was just this beautiful, vibrant, lovely woman. And you just looked at her. I did. I looked at her. I was like, holy moly. Because I was like, I got to see this. Just ate meat, So just like everybody else, I was like, we're all like, really, and so after that, I jumped in, and I remember I went and got me a ribeye. I was just like, and I sat down. I was sitting out on my porch here, and I remember eating that steak, and my whole body vibrated, just was like God spoke, and just I just felt so good, and it just felt right. And that's kind of how I work, is how it feels to me. So that's how I started. Now that was like 2 years ago, maybe a little more now. But now what I know, when I started, I just had said to myself, okay, just eat meat, add meat, mostly eat meat, so that's kind of what I did. If I traveled, I'd always have my little container of meat with me, but if I would go out with friends, I wasn't as strict as I am now. I would just go ahead and eat, whatever. But it would usually be like a hamburger or something, but I would eat the bun and the French fries. And I wasn't as adapted to it as I am now, because now if I eat that stuff, I feel it, but when I first started, so there was a transition, and that's what I like to tell people, is just take your time and just keep eating meat, and then, and then if I'd have a craving, which I did, I would cave in. So my willpower wasn't very good. But it would be like maybe once a month or twice a month, and then I was drinking wine, I was kind of, I was just a, what do you call a, casual drinker, or anyway, I would just, on the weekends I'd have a glass of wine, or if I was going to go dancing, maybe I'd have a little tequila or something, but then the more that I kept eating meat and kept staying on this, every time I do something, it just, your body wakes up. You start to feel it more and more every time. And at first it's it's like, I don't think that felt very good. And then for me, it starts to get big, man. Cause then I think the last time, cause when we talked, I had a cold, and I'd gotten a cold because I went to a Christmas party and I ate shit. She had these little, pretzels with caramel with chocolate on the top, and they were little, so you could just throw them in the mouth, So I threw about 3 of those in my mouth. And then I ate some Fritos, of all things, with some dip. I was at a party, and I have to say, I guess I don't go to many parties, but and I had a little glass of bubbly Prosecco, and it made me sick. And I know that's what made me sick. I had fever, and I went through having a cold. And it makes me remember when I would get colds, when I've gotten colds before. Sometimes I remember now that I would have been eating sugar, mostly sugar. Uh, I don't know if potato chips or something did that too, but it was mostly sugar. Like I would have eaten a candy bar and then I would get sick the next day. And I'd always in the back of my head say, did that make me sick? I was always wondering, but this was when I was eating crap, and way back. And I've never been a big crap eater. I don't want to think, but I've been vegan. I was vegan for 5 years. I was vegetarian for many, many years. I've always loved to cook. So I would cook good meals. I cook my own meals. But I would go out and also I would eat potato chips and I would eat candy bars and, and my problem is, see, I have no discipline. So if I got a candy bar, I'd eat the whole thing, and I'd say, oh, I'm just gonna have a little piece. And, I'd put it up and before the day's out, man, that sucker's gone, man. And usually within a couple hours, it's not like I can come back in, 3 or 4 hours, that thing's calling me the whole time. So, so that's how I started and that's how I got on it. And then also, watching everybody and just keep listening and educating. And then you talk to your friends or your family and they're like, you're crazy. And, and then that's discouraging. And then you may miss something, and then that's kind of discouraging. Like, oh man, well, I used to make bread. I haven't looked at it. I should look at it. It's probably going to just be a green, black mold because, they only last like 2 weeks. But my little starters, I forgot about it. It's still in the refrigerator. But I would feed my starter every week or 2 weeks. And I would make bread every, whatever. And I'd make bagels. And so since Christmas, since that time when I got sick after our interview, I've been more strict. I've been much better and I've had more willpower. And then maybe from watching everybody and listening to everybody, I mean, you listen to all these people that have had so many things, and I've had my share of a few things, but God, my gosh, you hear and you're just like this. That's why it's so reinforcing. Yeah. So the thing, I was thinking that at first to come on, I was trying to think of things that have improved for me or things that I didn't talk about the first time. And then I keep hearing all these people and hear, amazing stories. But what's interesting is when you hear everybody's having the same results, then that's just even more reinforcement how powerful this is. Everybody's eyesight's getting better. You're like, okay, whoa, everybody's losing weight. You're like, okay, whoa, then everybody's, skin feels better and everybody's less anxious. And then you're like, I mean, there's something for that many people to have the same thing. I just was like, well, then I should say it because it just reinforces, wow, look at all the things that we all relate to that it fixes, Now some of us have bigger issues or whatever, but so yeah, skin, hair, I feel like my nails, I've had ridges in my nails and I keep looking at them like, oh my God, are my ridges going away on my nails? That is so cool. And I wrote some things down. I want to say I had one eye that I was like, that was like fogging over or something. My left eye, it was like, but it's gone. And then I also used to be anxious about driving at night because my sight, so I started getting to be like, and I take care of an older lady. I take care of an 86 older lady. And so, she doesn't drive at night anymore. And so a lot of the olders don't drive at night anymore, and I was like, wow, I can kind of see why, because I felt like I didn't feel as comfortable driving at night. And now that's gone away. I'm like, wow, I don't even worry about it, And I used to kind of really be worried about it. So the anxiety of different things has gotten so much better. I used to, like, if I had had a deadline, like I did Airbnb out of my home for a little while, and like when people were coming, and I had to clean. I was like, and I'd wait till the last minute. I'm kind of a last minute kind of girl. I'm like, oh shit, I've got an hour and I've got to clean this whole house, And so I would just freak out. And now it's just so interesting. I don't know. It's like you can talk to yourself, and you're like, now maybe I don't wait the last hour, number one, and then number two, I'm just like, I'll get it done. And whatever I don't get done, I'm just going to shove it up under the bed and, or under the rug. It's going to be fine. It's like this calmness Yeah, in the closet that they're not going to go into. Yeah, you know, there's just this such calmness, and then so from there, I feel like my intuition and my spirituality has gotten so much better. And I've always been very, I pretty much, I know that I've always been pretty much intuitive and spiritual. I've always, I've taught yoga for many years and I do all that, um, but there's another level, and it's like I have a knowing. I just know when things are going to happen. I just know. I just have this knowing. And it's interesting because when I was vegan, we all the vegans talk about, oh, it's so spiritual, and you're not putting dead carcasses, dead animals in your body. You're eating live food, so then you're more alive and you're more with spirit. And that was this huge thing, and that's like bullshit. I was more anxious. Uh, I was airy fairy, so that's a huge, beautiful aspect. And so now I meditate, and I don't, maybe it's my age, maybe it's, where I'm at in my life or whatever, but I used to never could meditate, or I didn't want to. I was just like, I don't want to sit, and now I want to, because it's so beautiful. It's fun and it's exciting.
When you're not eating the right foods, it's kind of hard to calm your mind sometimes enough to do something like meditation, right?
Chemicals, man, chemicals. Whether it be Cheetos or even alcohol. So I don't drink much at all. I did go dancing the other night, and I hadn't been dancing much because it's cold here, and it's just starting to get spring. Here I'm in Florida, and I went out the other night, and our habits. That's the other thing I think about. All my habits that I had, like, oh, I gotta have a drink if I'm going to go out. You can't go out dancing if you don't have a drink. And I'm like, and so, but anyway, the other night I did go out, and I did have that calling again. So I was looking for something. I don't have much in the house anymore, and I had some old rum, and it was a good one. So I'll just have a little sip. So I poured a little bit in a cup, so I could just sip on it and tell my brain, okay, you've had a little alcohol, you can loosen up, you can be fun, and I felt like shit the next day, and I had like so little, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I used to would think, and it's funny, I thought about this when I was, after, when I first got divorced way back, you're in the dating scene, right? And, I did those dating things on the, oh my God, I'll never do that again. But on the computer, I did it way back. Okay. Way back. But, I tried it. Oh, it was horrible. But I remember looking at guys they were like, I don't drink, and I was like, oh, well, forget you, Cause I'd be like, oh, we got to have somebody that wants to drink and have fun, and now I'm just so over that. So it's amazing how it changes you. And then it's also scary how I grew up, or what I've been doing all my life, and who would I be if I did this, if we all ate like this. Oh my God, can you imagine who we'd be?
It's scary. It's scary to think that, from birth, it's basically a slow poisoning.
And yes, and I wonder if the food has changed. It seems like it has, because I want to say when I was vegan and I would go get all this raw food from the dang health food store, and I'd make all this stuff, it seemed like it was better. Seemed like it was, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go back there. It was ridiculous how to eat that way. It was just ridiculous. But I wonder about the foods. But really, when you eat this way, we don't need anything else. We're not supposed to have anything else. And I don't want anything else. I just want the few things that taste good, that take care of my body, take care of my hunger, and nourish my body and my heart and my soul, and my brain. And yeah, so I'm not, so eating has become, eating used to be, oh my God, we'd make extravagant meals, and this, and you'd have to have all these things with it, and drinking wine while you're making it. And You know?
That sounds like the way I was in the kitchen before.
Oh
I
my
loved cooking, but
God.
only because I could drink wine at the same time.
Yeah. Oh my God. And cheese. You have to have wine and cheese before while you're cooking your meal, you know, and then you're cooking whatever you're cooking. And then, oh, you know, so
So I wanted to ask a question regarding the yoga.
yeah.
So, and this is based on another interview conversation I've recently had. So I'm interested to get your take on it. Um, how are your joints and flexibility with yoga now as contrasted to when you were vegan? Do you notice any difference?
Well, the problem is I'm not doing that much yoga now. Not like I was. I taught classes. I had people in my home. I taught classes. I'd go around. So, I mean, I was teaching at least one class a day, but now, or two, you know. So, since I moved back here, since I moved back in 2017, I worked at a bike shop for like 4 years. So 18, 19, so 18, 19, 20, 21. So I guess 21, 22, 23, 24, 20, because I was getting out of it. About 2020, I started gardening. And 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 it's fun gardening, but I clean up yards, man. I'm out in it. So I kind of push my exercise, my yoga to the side. Now, also though, I did yoga for 20 plus years, 22, I think, but then I started doing neuro movement. So neuro movement I still do. And neuro movement is not really even about stretching, but it's about moving your bones. So it's based on Feldenkrais work or Anat Banyel, which I love. I studied her videos. I went to a couple of workshops with her. I never did her training, which I'd love to do one day. But it's neuro movement. So it's brain and bones. And there's 9 essentials. So let me go ahead and answer your question. How are my joints feeling? So, you know, I've noticed just doing gardening. I want, and so that's why I'm starting. That's why I've started. I have a YouTube, and I've only did a few things. I've been doing terrible things on it, but I mean, just stupid things. But I'm gonna just start teaching my class. I'm gonna just do, and I'm doing it for me. So I'm like, that's why I say, I'm like, come if you want to get your mat, get on the floor, let's stretch, let's move, let's roll around, and then. But it's interesting work, and it's all about really feeling your body, slowing down, moving in ways. There's no pain. You don't push or shove. So yoga, some yogas, you know, it's all about how far can you get your head between your legs, you know, and it's stupid. It's not, I think it's not really what our bodies need. This work, neuro movement, is beautiful, and you feel so good. It's just like, you're like, oh, so I mean, I'm doing my videos and I'm like moaning and groaning, like, oh God, that feels so good. You know, I don't know if anybody else is feeling that, but so that's my passion right now, and that feels good. And that when I'm tight and I do it, then I feel better. You know, do I need to do more? Yes. I mean, I want to be more consistent with it. So I'm doing it like 2 or 3 times a week, something like that. You know, but I want to wake up and do a class every day, and like I used to. You know, so we'll see. But so I don't believe in pushing our bodies that hard anymore, like that. You know, but I'm also 63, so I also think there comes a time that we're not supposed to push and shove and cram and jam, you know, but we're supposed to be aware and present and really feel the body and move in all ways to let our bodies and our joints be loose, but not, you know. So that's my passion. And then I want to do just a few calisthenics, you know, push-ups, maybe a few squats or dips, or, you know, and I think we don't need as much. And so what happens is it becomes no fun. You know, you think I got to get in there, but I want to make it fun because that's kind of my MO. So I want to do and it feel good and do a little bit. And, you know, I thought about, I'll just do 15 minutes, you know, maybe, and then do 20, and some will be longer, some will be shorter, and just keep doing it, you know. When I'm working in the gardens, I'm always doing it. So that's what's interesting too. When you learn this work, the neuro movement, it comes into every aspect of your life. So I'm out in the garden on two hands and stretching a leg back and one hand doing a, so with the work that I do, I'm lucky that I'm squatting, and I think I'm always thinking about it because I love it and I do that anyway. So I'm always thinking, I'm going to bring my exercise into what I do. So even when I clean the house and vacuum, man, I'm doing squats and pushing that vacuum and doing it with different hands. And that's what the work is about. It's change. So there's 9 essentials, and one is variation. We need variation in the body and in your practice. Try it a different way. It can just be so subtle, like brush your teeth with your other hand. Things like that make our brain work, which then talks to the body, which then helps release tight muscles. And so that's the concept behind it. There's 9 essentials. So one is be very gentle. And that's the other thing. We're rough in life. We're fast and we're rough and we're like, and it's like, be gentle. And so like sometimes when I'm vacuuming or something, I'm like, oh shit, I got to go, woo. And then I'll be like, slow down and, take long strides and be present. So it's, it brings you in the moment, and it makes such a difference, and you get just as much done, and it wakes you up. And then I'm like, what are my feet doing as I'm what are my toes doing, and, what's my back doing? And, so you start to feel, am I bending my bones? Am I letting my spine move? And so it's that kind of idea, which I love.
So the number one principle is like slow down.
Yep.
Okay. Can you run through the others?
Yeah. So the next one is be gentle. You can't, okay, well, first let me say, you can't learn anything new if you go fast. Fast is habit. So going slow, you can learn something new. And then you want to be gentle. You don't push or shove. You be very easy. Some people don't even know how to do that. The hardest thing for me to teach when I'm teaching people is to be easy. I'll say do a pelvic tuck, tilt. We've all done a pelvic tilt where you tilt your pelvis up and down. People with their butts, and squeeze those glutes, everybody's like, squeeze, it's like, no, have you ever done it just so gently so you can feel which bone is moving? She says in her classes, which bone is moving now? And we've been taught about our muscles and everything, but have we ever thought about, can I feel which vertebrae is moving as I'm in as I bend, which one's moving now, which one's moving now, I don't know until I started doing this work, So it's be gentle so you can feel. Another one is be a beginner. I love this one. And it goes so much with life. All of them do. Be a beginner. Pretend you've never done that pelvic tilt before. Pretend it's the first time that you felt the body do it, and don't grip your butt. Tilt from your bone and be a beginner. And being a beginner in life is so important. When somebody's telling you something and you think you know it, it's like, no, let me be a beginner and see if I can learn something new from this. So I love being a beginner, and us quit thinking that we know it all, because we don't. And then another one is have flexible goals. And what she means is that, where you want to get, but you're not going to get there today. And you're okay with that. Be flexible. Like, you'll get there. So have flexible goals. Don't be like, oh, I have to, because I have to get there tomorrow, no, it's a journey, right? Make it a fun journey, and just say, I'm going to just keep improving every day is, okay. Variation. So you have to, so you do. And what's so cool. So her story is like, she takes children that are brain dead and brings them back to life, because it's about the brain. And it's about variation. So one thing is about a little child that had cerebral palsy or something where they couldn't hold their head up, and maybe and it's children. These are babies too. She does babies and adults. It's for everybody. But, maybe the baby's head is like this, and she was trying different ways, and she took a Kleenex and she blew it into the baby's face, and it made the baby sit up. And so it's that idea, bring variation. You have no idea. So then she also worked with famous orchestra players, and one was a violin player, and that gets you all kinked up, right? If you're well, and she had him play it with the other hand. And then she also said, I want you to play as bad as you can. So, and then you try it that way and you do it a little bit, and then you come back to your way, and then it's like, oh, you're so much better. Something has released. The brain, again, it's changing the wiring. We keep doing things one way, we have that rut, right? So variation is very cool. And that's true with everything. So like I said, brush your teeth with the other hand, get on your bed on the other side, get off the bed on the other side, like you did, walk the other way around town so you don't go get that beer, But Anat Banyal, if anybody wants to know, Anat, A-N-A-T, Banyal is the woman. Study her work. She's wonderful.
No worries. And we can put a link to that as well. But if you were giving someone advice on the best way to get started eating carnivore to start feeling better, what would you say? How should they start?
To start feeling, I'd say go slow. And that's the other thing I wanted to say. When I was doing it, I did have the loose stools, and I was still, the last thing that I let go of was sugar in my coffee, and I was using blackstrap molasses because I thought, oh, this is good, this isn't sugar, and then, but I kept having loose stool, and then I was listening to somebody, and all of a sudden, it takes me a while. All of a sudden, I was like, okay, Bridgette. So when I got rid of that, it changed. Then so that was interesting for me to feel that. And also I want to say, before carnivore, I had, going to the bathroom, talking about poop, I would have like rabbit poops, like little, pooping is so much better on carnivore. Let's talk poop, right? It just makes a difference now. And you eat something your body doesn't want, and it'll tell you right away. And it's like, oh, well, that, and so I love that. Again, it's an awareness. So being more in tune. So, but what was the question? I forgot the question now. I'm talking about poop.
How should someone get started?
Yeah, if someone gets started, how I would say go slow. And I would say just keep adding meat, just keep adding meat, hamburgers, steak, if you want, bacon, and have it with you. Because I don't have the willpower, and I'll have to say this last month, maybe I've had huge cravings. I'd be like, God, I'm just, I don't know if it's craving, but it's just, because you're just eating meat. It's interesting. It's a different feel. And you're like, should I? And then I just keep putting that meat in my mouth, and then it goes away. But I was so addicted, and you don't realize how addicted you are until you get off it. And then you're like, whoa. And I look at those cravings. I just like, get out of here. What do you think? And I just get meat, or I'll do bacon. Bacon is a good kind of savior, and you can make a bunch of bacon and take it with you. It's the first, if you can get that stuff in your mouth before you go and get that other thing, it'll go away. And it's for me, it's helped me so much, because I didn't have another way how to get away from the crap. And I tried, and you'd be eating the crap and you'd be saying, I know I don't need this. But it's calling me, and then I'd go get it. And then I'd like, and I got, you'd throw half of it away and you'd say, okay, I'm not going to do it again. But then you do. But now it's been such a gift to just keep, the minute you have a craving, because I some people, you're strong, you're like a black or white man, you're like, cut it off and no more ever again, ever. I'm like, well, maybe I just dabble a little bit, So I need it. Yeah,
I appreciate the compliment, but that's actually my kind of on or off is really just a reflection of my my weakness when it comes to if I start something,
all or
I'll
nothing, all or
slide
nothing.
down. Yeah. So can you tell us more about your YouTube channel, how we can find you, and more information about like
It's
your
terrible.
lessons with neuro movement.
Yeah, and I'm just starting and I don't care. And that's the other thing. You kind of get to the place you don't give a flip. It might be the age too, but so I've been doing silly things and I want to do my gardening too. So it's Dancing with Life, which is my Gmail at BLS, I think, which are my initials, BLS. Oh no, I think it's BLS FULL. God, I don't even know what it is. I think that's right. But yeah, it's going to be gardening. It's going to be, and I've done some cooking videos just to play. And I just got a mic and I just got a tripod. So now I can do my classes better. I was doing it with putting the phone up on a block and and I'm still using my phone. I don't have a camera or anything, so whatever. So I'm just playing. And if it's helpful and people like it, then that I'm thrilled and that's great. And like I said, it's for me too. So it's a help me to get back into it. It's so because I'm not teaching classes now. If I had a class, it would make me do it, but I don't. And so I got to make myself. You kind of got to make yourself do it. So if I know other people are liking it, I'll like, oh, they're waiting on me.
Yeah,
We'll see.
nice. And don't worry about the camera. If you're enjoying doing it, and people are enjoying watching, don't worry about what you're using as a camera. I still use my iPhone as a camera too.
You do.
Yeah.
You look so professional over there with that big old mic and everything.
Yeah, nice. This is the only thing I've actually invested in. So yeah. So Bridgette, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and update with us. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. And thank you for everything you're doing. You are changing the world. It's really special what you're doing.